When it comes to the conversion rate, most experts talk about hacks and gimmicks and tricks, when in reality it works completely different. So there is actually a hierarchy of conversions, and while I'm showing that to you, I want you to go in the exact way that I am doing. It's simply a proven formula that requires you to do specific steps in this precise way. If you are tempted to kind of skip this part, so if you're thinking, oh, this actually doesn't apply to me, you'll see how over time you're going to leave a lot of money on the table because they work together. And before we get started, I want to say that when it comes to the hierarchy of conversions, I took from Joris Bryan, which is a book that I'm reading right now, which says Kill Your Conversion Killers. I highly recommend actually reading this book because it's extremely valuable if you want to get very good at increasing your conversion rate for your e-commerce business. This book is specifically about e-commerce stores. So let's talk about the 5 things that you have to make sure you are working on when it comes to increasing your conversions. So the first thing is functionality. Now, when I say functionality, it all kind of boils down to the technical part. Here we need to ask ourselves a question that will sound something like this. Does our website work very well on all devices, on all browsers? Because if there are some technical issues for specific browsers or for specific devices, in that case, we will see a huge drop in terms of the conversion rate. Because let's say that 2% of your traffic is converting from, let's say, mobile. But when you are looking at your statistics and you see that, let's say, for desktop, you're only converting 0.2%. And assuming that you've got quite some traffic, then you will see actually that this is not a very good conversion rate, because if you make a comparison between how people are converting on mobile and how they're converting on desktop, you're going to see a huge discrepancy. That's something you have to pay attention to if you see something like that, because definitely there are some issues into that and you have to go and dig into that and find out exactly the problem. Now, to find out exactly the problem, this is not a video about that. You could use Hotjar. It's basically an app that you could see where people are clicking, where they're scrolling, and understand maybe it's because of speed. So generally speaking, when you see huge discrepancies, that's a place that you have to dig very deep and see what's going on, why they are not converting there. Because think about it, at the end of the day, conversion rate is all about details. Just imagine for 1 second that you could increase your conversion rate at desktop from 0.2 to, let's say, 0.5 or 0.7. Right there, you're increasing your revenue significantly, and most importantly is that significantly with no cost. So if that is not leverage, then I don't know what it is. And maybe a question that you will have is, how can I find what's my conversion rate for every single device and things like that? For that, I recommend using Google Analytics. So you need to set up a Google Analytics account, and then you could go ahead and take a look what's the conversion rate. The next layer of our hierarchy of conversions after functionality is accessibility. This is a place that we need to ask ourselves how readable and how user-friendly is our website. Like, have you ever noticed some websites with a very light text on a white background? That is something that is annoying customers because they cannot even read very well. They have to put some effort into reading that, which this is the last thing you want to do. You want to make this purchase experience as easily as possible. And also you have to understand that there is a percentage of people out there that they are colorblind. So that means they could not make the difference between the colors on your website, which that also can decrease your conversion rate. And in fact, there is a URL where you could paste the website URL and then see how people are noticing your website if they are colorblind. So I'll make sure I will put that link in the description below so you can check that out. As you can see, like what I've mentioned so far, this hierarchy of conversions, you have to make sure that you are going in this way. First of all, you work on your functionality, then accessibility. You don't want to skip, let's say, functionality and go straight forward to accessibility, because what if your website doesn't work very well? In that case, doesn't matter what we are going to talk next, because that will simply ruin that conversion rate and no one is going to stay even on your website. So all the effort that you're going to put after the functionality of your website, that doesn't really matter because your website doesn't work properly. Okay, after tackling these two parts and you know that they're working well, the next layer of this pyramid of conversions is usability. How easily, so this is a question that we have to ask, is how easily is for the customer to go ahead, find anything that they want, click on the add to cart, click on the checkout, purchase your product. If the process is tricky, if you are asking for too much information, in that case, that again is going to ruin the conversion rate. After usability, the next one is intuitiveness. I love this one. So what this means is that you want to prevent any concerns and any questions people would have on your website. Essentially, you are anticipating all the concerns and all the questions that people might have in their mind, so they could answer all those objections and they could go ahead and purchase from the first touch point. This is going to increase significantly your conversion rate. And this is something that a lot of people, a lot of e-commerce owners, they neglect. Now for that, of course, you need to know your customer. I tackled so much this point, and it's extremely valuable to know your customer, to have a spreadsheet or a document where you put every single information that you find about your client. And by the way, like, you did this customer search once, you added all these things, and then over time, once you get know your customer more and more, you are simply adding those things to your spreadsheet or to your document, and you can see how over time you could improve your website, because everything boils down to the customer. When you could serve your customer, in that case, your conversion rate is there. And also that's why the FAQ section is so critical. Yet, how many brands have that FAQ section on their product page? Maybe they, like the bare minimum they could have is a dedicated page for FAQ, which again is not that ideal. The perfect scenario is to have an FAQ section on every single product page, because you don't want to interrupt or distract people from going to other pages. You want them to stay on the product page so they could find out all the information, right, with this intuitiveness, right, part. So afterwards they have all the answers in their mind, and then they could go ahead and purchase exactly from the same page. And also something that you have to keep in mind is that you could answer their questions by showcasing some kind of visuals, not only through the FAQ section. You could also, let's say in the fashion scenario, one like concern that people might have is that how actually that fabric looks like, or how that is going to look on me. Well, to answer those questions, you could have much more like product shots. That's why in fashion you have to make sure that you have a lot of pictures, high quality pictures, let's say some close-ups and some more pictures with different models that look like your customer. The ideal scenario is to have models from different races and ages and skin colors, because that will resonate with a larger pool of audience. So that's something that you have to pay attention to. And now the last layer of our pyramid of conversions is psychology. Again, like, no one talks about this. Everyone is talking about how to increase their ad spend and how to increase more traffic, when actually if you don't get your conversion rate high, in that case, doesn't matter how much traffic you are like bringing to your website, those will not convert. So this is the entire hierarchy of conversions, right? And like I said, you have to go in this way, from functionality all the way up to psychology. When I say psychology, this boils down to scarcity, urgency, reciprocity. This is all about customer persuasion. And guess what? Guess how many people they are allocating enough time to learn about human psychology? And I can tell you one thing, not enough time. I could tell you, if you are an e-commerce owner and if you have a brand, most likely what is happening is that you have quite lots of add to cart but less purchases, and that's a signal that your psychology part is not nailed. That means that people don't find a reason why they should take action now. They are kind of going, they are browsing, they are adding their product to the cart to see what's gonna be the total price. Maybe they will remove some things, but they don't take action because you didn't communicate to that customer why they should take action right now and not 1 week like from that point, or 1 month from that point. Now for the psychology aspect, actually I'm thinking to record a particular video just about that, because this is really good, and this is something that I love to talk about, and this is something that I spend a lot of my time working on. So I could not help you, let's say, with the functionality, because this is more about with the backend, and a developer would help you, let's say, to increase that speed score. But when it comes to increasing that scarcity or urgency to the customer's mind, that is something that I really love to do, and that is my cup of tea. Anyways, I want to hear your feedback in the comment below, and let me know if you would want to see a video about with psychology aspect and how you could increase urgency and scarcity to your website. And it's not only about like adding those banners, so if like we've got this sale for 24 hours, people are already used to that. There are some other techniques that you have to be aware of. So that was the entire hierarchy of conversions, and from now on I believe that you are going to have a different approach to increasing the conversion rate. Now, if you're new to this channel, make sure to turn on the notifications to know every single time when I upload a new video. I guess that every other day you will see a video on your homepage, or at least on that bell icon. So you will never run out of proven data that will help you to increase your sales. Until then, keep up the good work.